Well, here we are, Thursday morning, August 21st, 2025. What a week it has been for us here on the CyberHub Podcast. Good morning to everyone tuning in. My name is James Azar. I'm the host and Chief Information Security Officer, cybersecurity practitioner by trade, episode 966 for the show, folks. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, where have you been for 965 episodes? I'm kidding. I'm joking. Welcome to the show. Packed show for all of y'all today from a cybersecurity perspective. We've got a lot to talk about. So not so much data breaches. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we're going to talk a lot about TTPs and IOCs today, and primarily around nation states. And we have a good one, folks. We're going to be talking about Russia. It's my best President Trump impression I can pull out this early in the morning. All right. So, and I haven't had a cup of coffee yet. So don't hate on me a little bit. We'll also talk about some significant vulnerabilities and stuff everyone needs to be paying attention to that is happening in the news today. So before we get started, join me for a coffee cup cheers. This morning, I've got my double espresso. This mug actually has a handle. So the one I had yesterday didn't have a handle per se. It was really, really hot. This one has a handle, not burning my fingers. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Delicioso. Oh, so good, man. Love a good espresso. All right. We'll start off with this data breach. And I said there's not a lot. Typically on the show, we do 3 to 4. Today, I think we got 2. Orange Telecom in Belgium announcing that they discovered a cyber attack at the end of last month that compromised 850,000 customer accounts. The Belgian subsidiary to Orange Telecom, Orange Belgium, said no critical data was compromised, meaning no account passwords, no email addresses, no banking or financial details. But I take that critical with a grain of salt. You know why? Because following in the statement, they say the attackers gained access to their IT system and they took your name and your first name, which would be your name. So maybe it's your surname and first name. Either way, your telephone number, all right, your SIM card number, wait, what? And your PUK code and your tariff plan. So for those who don't know what your PUK code is, it's what unlocks your SIM card. It's how you unblock it in the event you ever entered the wrong PIN so many times that your SIM card got blocked. It's huge. You have that data. Let's say you steal a bunch of phones. Now you have that data. You can actually unlock those phones and sell them or take advantage of them or commit fraud. One way people do fraud in telecom, a lot of people go like, how would you do fraud in telecom? So if I take over your account and I pretend to be you, and then I walk into Orange Belgium and I go, hi, my name is Jean Chirac, and I want to add 5 lines to my plan, or I want to add a line. Yeah, just an Android will be great, or an iPhone will be great. Yeah, just bill it to my account. I've been a customer for so long, and you bill it to my account. I then take that phone, call you, unlock it, sell it. And by the time you've picked up on the fraud, I've made a few $1,000s or a few €1,000 in the event of folks in Belgium. So this is where I think this actual cyber attack gets really, really tricky for Orange Group, but specifically Orange Belgium. Is now they've really got to devise a way to ensure that beyond this attack, that their customers, hence them, don't fall victims, because the customers are going to say, dude, why didn't you check ID? Why didn't you do that? In the US, like for example, Verizon as an example, right, will send you like a code to allow someone to access your account. And the moment you authorize it, it's kind of like a little push notification on your phone with the Verizon app. The moment you do it, as far as they're concerned, your identity has been validated and verified, and they don't care anymore, right? They're not checking your ID. Trust me, I've tried to break up with Verizon. The alternatives aren't any better. Like seriously, like telecom in America is broken, but telecom in Europe, even more broken. But this is the risk that comes out of this breach. So when you hear it and you go, 850,000, what can really come out of it? That PUK code, that account information, that phone number, you can combine that with other publicly available data for these individuals, because I guarantee you, maybe not all 850,000, let's say 70% of them. We said a number yesterday on the show, like 72% of the people in the Allianz Life breach were all victims of other data breaches in the last year. So let's say that same percentage applies here. So that's a little over 600,000. So that's 600,000. If you multiply that, but let's say you're able to average a fraud of around $3,000 per account. It's $1.8 million, folks. Not bad for a day's work. I'm not encouraging it. I'm not doing this to show it, to like tell you go do cyber crime, like that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm addressing is this idea of where this fraud, where a lot of these breaches end up. And they end up with these local gangs who actually take that data, and then they've got masters that they sell it to. So they commit, $1.5 million worth of fraud. They're kicking back $1 million or $1.2 million to the people who actually stole this and the people who run it overseas, likely in West Africa or in India or even in some places in Eastern Europe. And the people who are on the ground perpetrating it will get $200-$300 for every phone they do this for. But they do it at scale, and it happens here in the US all the time. So that's why, while they say, don't worry, they didn't compromise, I'd rather they compromise my payment information, because that's really easy for me to switch. It's really easy for me to call my credit card company and say, look, my credit card's been compromised in a data breach. They didn't follow PCI. I'll let you take care of it. That's your problem, Amex or Visa or MasterCard or BOFA or Wells or whoever. But could you please send me a new card? And my bank's going to be like, absolutely, we're canceling this card. We'll ship you a new card. Game over. This kind of data is harder to switch, harder to change, and there's not that I'm aware of, and correct me if I'm wrong. If you are, please let me know in the show notes. I don't think there's a way to stop this fraud. So there's that. Speaking of phones, Apple releasing an emergency security update patching a 0-day vulnerability that was being exploited in an extremely sophisticated attack, aka spyware. CVE 2025-43300 is a security flaw caused by an out-of-bounds write weakness discovered by Apple security researchers in the image IO framework, which enables applications to read write most image file formats. An out-of-bound write occurs when attackers successfully exploit such vulnerabilities by supplying input to a program, causing it to write data outside the allocated memory buffer, which can lead to program crashing, corrupting data, or in a worst-case scenario, allowing remote code execution. Apple has addressed the issue with the to prevent exploitation in iOS 18.6.2 and iPad 18.6.2, iPad 17.7.10, Sequoia 15.6.1, Sonoma 14.7.8, and macOS Ventura 13.7.8. The complete list of devices is extensive. We'll have that available on our website. Again, when they say actively exploited and sophistication at Apple, hence reading between the line, spyware. So Citizens Lab, if it's an Israeli spyware company, Citizens Lab will be all over this. If it's Russian, Chinese, European, anywhere else in the world, who cares? They won't even look at it. Citizens Lab, like the United Nations, absolutely useless. North Korean threat actors have been attributed to a coordinated cyber espionage campaign targeting diplomatic missions in their southern counterpart between March and July of 2025. The activity manifested in the form of 19 spear phishing emails that impersonated trusted diplomatic contacts with the goal of luring phishing staff, embassy staff, and foreign ministry personnel with convincing meeting invites, official letters, and invitations. Here's where this gets interesting. According to Trellix researcher Pham Doi Phuc and Alex Landstein, the attackers leveraged GitHub, typically as a developer platform, as a covert command and control channel. The infection chains have been observed to rely on trusted cloud storage solutions like Dropbox and Dom Cloud, an online service from South Korea's internet conglomerate Kakao Corporation, in order to deliver a variant of an open source remote access Trojan called Xeno RAT. We talked about this earlier this week, but now we know that we're actually using GitHub. And that's the difference. I'm not going to go into what they're doing with this. This has been attributed to Comiska. We talked about it earlier this week. If you missed it, go to Tuesday's episode. You'll get all the latest. We also have a short on our Instagram page and on YouTube you can go catch. So the spear phishing content was mimicked to do that, but the fact that they were using GitHub shows you the sophistication of all of this. Now we're going to get into Russia. Russia. We've got a lot of stories about Russia, foreign nature. So here we go. Russia is suspected of launching cyber attacks on poorly defended water utilities across Europe in a campaign targeting critical infrastructure in what security analysts say is a growing threat to the US and Western allies. Russian attackers struck a small hydroplant plant in northern Poland for the second time since May, then posted a video showing how they hijacked its interface, reported Polish cybersecurity news outlet CyberDefense24. The attack followed Polish Deputy Prime Minister Krzysztof Gokowski warning that Poland now endures 300 cyber attacks daily from Russia, triple last year's figures, and comes amid a surge in Russia-linked disruptions to European water infrastructure. So recent attacks have shown some success, with Norway's spy chief confirming attackers opened the dam valve. We talked about that last week on the show. And so what does all of this actually mean? What are the Russians doing? The Russians always look to send a message, a shot across the bow, a stay out of our business, we'll stay out of yours, because if we wanted to potentially topple a government, proven inadequacies, we can do it. Now, it's not to say that we don't do the same to Russia. Not justifying what Russia does here, right? So I just want to be clear about that. I'm not some Russia sympathizer. I don't think that the Russians should be trusted. I think there needs to be some building blocks before you can trust the Russians. I don't think that you can get Russia off of China and China off of Russia. And I'll explain in just a minute why. I've actually got a story to prove that. But nonetheless, they're addressing what we use every single day in our daily lives, and it's a weak link, and they're abusing it right now, and they're abusing it at levels, and no one's really waking up. And I don't want us to wake up to a disaster. That's why a few weeks ago we talked about on the show what folks over at DEF CON were doing to help water utilities, and the amount of volunteers that actually signed up to help more water utilities for free across the country here in the US. But Europe needs the exact same effort. Analysts are warning that these types of attacks will continue to escalate. So something to keep in mind there. But that's just not it. The Russian cyber espionage group, Static Tundra, has been seen exploiting Cisco devices, according to the FBI. The vulnerability in these Cisco devices was discovered in 2018. Advisories released on Wednesday by both the FBI and Cisco Talos are warning that the FSB Center 16 is exploiting CV 2018-0171 in devices that reach end-of-life status to breach organizations in telecommunications, higher education, and manufacturing sectors across North America, Asia, Africa, and Europe. Cisco is saying the group behind the campaign, known as Static Tundra, has spent years compromising the Cisco devices by exposing the vulnerability in the smart install feature of Cisco iOS and Cisco iOS XE software that's been left unpatched, often after those devices are end of life. And so you ask yourself a very, very curious question. From 2018 to 2025, if my math is any good, that's about 7 years. How are we not patching these? These are end-of-life devices. Some of these companies don't even know they have it, right? Some don't even patch them because they go, it's end of life. I don't know. But Cisco Talos has published a script that can be used to scan for and detect the sinful knock implant, which is what they're using. That's the malware strain. But if you look at the long game, steal data, establish persistent access. You know who else took over Cisco devices here? Remember a minute ago I said that it's going to be really hard to separate Russia and China? China did in the telecom breach. Salt Typhoon. That's exactly what they did. They abused Cisco routers in these telecom networks in order to get access to telecom information. So when the modus operandi from Russia and China remains the same, any idea that you can separate the two, look, I value the effort, but you gotta trust but verify. And right now, I don't know how much you can trust the Russians. Just putting that out there, and the Chinese for that matter. So something to just keep in mind there. But Russia, for their end, also suffer their own data breaches. And the pro-Ukrainian hacker groups have obviously in the last 3-4 months have been given almost a carte blanche in terms of going after everything and anything in Russia. For a while there, they couldn't. The attacks were primarily symbolic, but they weren't disruptive. Over the last 3 to 4 months, we're seeing really disruptive attacks. The Cyber Anarchy Squad, which claimed responsibility for the attack on the Russian investment and analytics platform Investment Projects, was hit by a cyber attack by the group earlier this week. As of Wednesday, the site still remained offline. The attackers said that they partially destroyed the site's infrastructure. They accessed internal databases and employee documents and published a trove of allegedly stolen files. Recorded Future was unable to verify this. They said they leaked the data to pressure regulators into finding the platform, which under Russian law, businesses can face penalty of up to 220,000 rubles or $250 for failing to protect customer data. Someone tell me how the Russian economy is doing. Investment Projects promotes and analyzes large-scale ventures in Russia, including industrial, civil, and transport construction. It's operated by the PKR Group, whose investors and clients include major Russian companies like Konar, Norlik Nickel, Rosagro, and S7 Airlines, which is a scary airline to fly with. Did one flight with them. I did two, actually, and I'll be okay if I never had to fly them again. Staying on Russia, the UK imposing a tranche of sanctions targeting financial institutions and cryptocurrency networks in Kyrgyzstan that are accused of helping to facilitate Russian sanction evasions. The new British sanctions overlap with efforts from the US and take aim at entities involved in funneling money for the war in the Ukraine, as well as the Kremlin's other malicious activities abroad, which support the Russian ransomware ecosystem. Again, more sanctions on these banks. And again, like, is that really gonna impact Russian laundering money from Kyrgyzstan? Not really. Like, the only thing these sanctions do is freeze existing British or US dollar assets. And typically, if you don't know how these work, it's not like you wake up one morning and you find out you're on a sanction list. Typically, there's some sort of dialogue that's going on where they're saying you need to stop doing it, and you say, I don't think so. I don't know about it. In that time, you kind of get most of your assets out of the countries that are threatening you. So when sanction comes, it doesn't really sting the way it appears on a piece of paper or on a computer screen. And that's likely what happened here. I don't have proof of it, but I'm just going to go ahead and guess that, the Brits kind of lost their bite here. I don't think this is one of the bites they got. And picking on Kyrgyzstan, a very small country, very poor, very broke. I don't know. Not sure about that. Anyways, there's that. We're done with Russia. Let's move to Lovable. That website creation AI platform that's absolutely great. Well, cyber criminals also discovered it. Who would have thunk it? And now they're abusing the platform to create phishing pages, malware dropping portals, and various fraudulent websites. The malicious sites created through the platform impersonate large and recognizable brands, feature traffic filtering systems like CAPTCHA to keep bots out. Sorry, not Bob's. Bob, you can go there. I don't recommend it, but don't do it. While Lovable's taken steps to better protect its platform from abuse, the AI-powered site generators increase in numbers. The barrier to entering cybercrime continue to drop. In these Lovable campaigns, we knew they were coming. We knew abusing the abuse of Claude, OpenAI, Cursor. That's all coming, folks. Like, the next 2 to 3 years, just buckle up. Just put on your thing. We're episode 966. Let's have this conversation at episode 1200 and 1500 and see where we are. Okay? We'll just see where we are. So, mental note for everyone tuning in. All right? Here we go. We've got it. So, again, they're creating these websites that look like UPS. They're stealing information. Again, just absolute, like, doing it. Lovable said that they have all these anti-abuse measures on the platform, but again, people will continue to abuse it. And really, it's going to take an anti-fraud banking-like approach to put an end to it. And that's the hard truth. And I don't know that these companies are built for it. They're software companies. I don't know how they're going to deal with it. Anyways, DEF CON earlier this month, a great cybersecurity engineer brought up something where it says that, your password managers can actually be hijacked and they can steal all your passwords. That security researcher is Mark Tooth. I hope I said your last name right, Merrick, because I apologize if I didn't. He's talking about clickjacking, which we've talked a lot about here on the show, right? We've talked about all the different groups, the Russians using clickjacking techniques and whatnot. Well, according to him, a single click anywhere on an attacker-controlled website, we just talked about Lovable. So an attacker creates a Lovable controlled website, looks authentic. It would allow an attacker to steal user data, like credit card details, personal data, login information, including TOTP. The new technique is general, can be applied to other types of extensions. So the technique detailed essentially involves using a malicious script to manipulate UI elements in a web page that the browser extensions inject into the DOM, for example, autofill prompts, by making them invisible by setting their opacity to 0. The research specifically focuses on 11 popular password manager browser add-ons, ranging from 1Password to iCloud passwords, all of which have been found to be susceptible to DOM-based extension clickjacking attacks. To pull off the attack, all the back actor has to do is create a fake website with an intrusive pop-up. Lovable. Tune in, buddy. A login screen, a cookie consent banner, while embedding an invisible login form such that clicking from the site to close the pop-up causes the credential information to be auto-filled by the password manager and exfiltrated to a remote server. And because password managers don't work on the main domain, but also to all subdomains, by creating a very simple, like abusing a typo squatting subdomain that can actually get it to work with a single click. This does impact 1Password password manager version 8.11.4.27, Apple iCloud passwords 3.1.25, Bitwarden password managers 2025.0.0, InPass 6.11.6, LastPass 4.146.3, and LogMeOnce 7.12.4. No fixes have been issued as of yet, but we hope to see those soon. That's it for our show. We're way over. I'm having too much fun this morning. All right, we're way over. That's it for the show. We'll be back Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern, with another great episode. Tomorrow, catch our weekly kind of roundup of all the news. It's not in podcast format, which is great because you kind of get a break from my voice for the weekend. So you can catch that at our website at cyberhubpodcast.com or the CyberHub Podcast LinkedIn page. That's the only two places you can get it. You can't get it anywhere else. So make sure you go either subscribe to our newsletter on LinkedIn or you go to our website and subscribe there. It's absolutely free to get that. On Saturday, we'll have a brand new article. I'll be taking on to Tom Alexandrovich, the INCD director, who's kind of had my name blasted on everything. I did a panel with the guy in March, and every image used of him in almost every major media has my name on it. So I've been blowing up this week, but I'll talk a little bit about ethics in cybersecurity, how we have bad apples everywhere. So you can catch that on Saturday. Again, that's exclusively at cyberhubpodcast.com. And Monday, we'll be back here live with all the latest and greatest. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.